Hi, welcome to Tips for Virtual Meetings, a conversation between Seth Silver and Tim Franz. I'm Seth Silver. I'm an organizational consultant and also a part-time graduate level professor. Tim, tell us a little bit about yourself and your connection to teams.
Well, I'm Tim Franz. I've been working in the Department of Psychology at St. John Fisher. This is my 21st year, so I've been there a while. And I've got a few things coming up about teamwork. I have a past textbook that's going into its second edition. And of course, with you, Seth, I have the book on the workplace covenant that should be done within the next few months. And that's on improving leadership and teamwork. And then third, I have a book on Amazon that just went live this week on making team projects better with Lauren Vicker. So thanks for the interview today, Seth. And let me know what questions you have for me.
That's great. That's great. We're talking about virtual meetings. Tell us about the best Zoom meeting that you've attended. What were some of the characteristics of a great Zoom meeting?
Well, I've got a slide here that explains that. And really, I think the best meetings have three things. They're run well, meaning the person who called the meeting or the person who's facilitating the meeting, which may be different. That person runs the meeting well. They're engaging, meaning I'm there for a reason and I want to be a part of the meeting. And then finally, they're effective, which means I'm getting something done and the group I'm with is getting something done during the meeting.
Great. It occurs to me these characteristics would apply to any meeting, an in-person meeting, obviously, as well as a Zoom meeting. So tell me how Zoom meetings and in-person meetings are the same and also different.
Well, let me talk about how they're the same first. And really, a Zoom meeting is a meeting, and we have to think of all of our good meeting techniques. And I created a nice little top 10 list here for us to see about how to run a meeting. And so let me explain some of the ideas about meetings. And 4 of the things on this list are really about running a meeting in general. Number 1 is to assign pre-work. If you're going to run a meeting well, people should know what's coming and have read and prepared for that meeting. Number 2 is to get that agenda at least 48 hours ahead of time so that people know what's coming and know what they're there for in that meeting. Number 3 is to have a facilitator who's skilled in running meetings, a facilitator who can keep the meeting focused, avoid side conversations, and keep it on task and moving forward the whole time. And number 4, any meeting should have somebody who's taking minutes, and those minutes should talk about what people wanted to get done, who's going to do it, and when it's going to be done by. So that is what
indeed those are the factors of a good meeting in person. But what are some of the differences, Tim?
Well, some of the differences, and now we're into Zoom meetings. So let me just talk about a few of them. And this list on here has quite a few today, but number 1 is test your technology ahead of time. Here it is, we're on Zoom, we're having our Zoom meeting, and I did actually step in here to my meeting room here 10 minutes ahead of time and made sure everything was working for this meeting. And then number 2 is match the tool to the task, which is really important because certain things in meetings may require something simple and easy to get done quickly. And other things may require that face-to-face interaction, even if it's over Zoom or something like this. So make sure you're choosing the medium to match what your need is. So you could use just a simple conference call if it's a straightforward meeting, but if you might have something that requires a lot of back and forth, a tool like this, Zoom is a really good one. Now, some other things is in today's Zoom world, make sure to provide Zoom breaks because some of us are on meetings. I know, I'm sure you've been on them. I know I've been on them for hours on end. There's been Zoom meetings and I get pretty burned out and I lose my focus. For me, I get about a half an hour, 45 minutes on a Zoom meeting and then I'm going off on a tangent somewhere in my head. So Zoom breaks, really important. Get something to drink, walk around, come back, you're refocused and you're energized. Then really, when you can, meet face-to-face sometimes when possible. This is really important to keep teams together, to keep them with that good sense of teamwork. So if you can meet face-to-face, and in today's world, it's tough, but if you're local, maybe have an outdoor meeting once in a while where you can sit in a socially distant place and have quick meeting. And then finally, the last real big tip I would like to talk about is people tend to have a lot more distress today. They're working more actually because of all of the online work. They're spending days and nights because work time and home time are now getting more and more commingled. So people have this anxiety about all the work they're doing. Some may have anxiety about what's happening in the world. So check in with them. Check in with the people you work with personally and professionally. We're blurring those lines, so continue to blur them because people really want that personal touch when running a meeting. So
Yep.
Those are my
Great.
big tips. So
Great. So last question, tell us something we don't know. Tell us, you're right, we've all been Zooming for a while. We're getting more and more used to it. But what would be some things that perhaps might not cross our radar in terms of what we really should be doing when we run a Zoom meeting? So what would be a couple of key recommendations that are not obvious, like technology and agenda?
Well, I would give you 3 more recommendations. First of all, and this is good meeting technique in general, but don't invite people who don't need to be there. And
Sure.
Invite them maybe for only the time that they need to be there. If you have a good agenda with times organized on it, only invite the people for when they need to be there. Don't let them feel like they're excluded, but make sure they know that they can come and go as need be. The beauty of online meetings now is that we can record them like we're doing here with our meeting today. And if somebody doesn't really need to be at the meeting, you record the meeting and then they can play it at their leisure and skip through and just look at the parts that are important for them. Number 2, I find that sometimes I go to meetings and there's a whole email that's been sent out and I get to the meeting and they're basically telling us everything that's in the email. And people who have done their pre-work and read the email are head in hand,
Yes.
waiting for the meeting to end and off in a daydream somewhere. And then the last one, which is even easier in Zoom meetings than in face-to-face meetings, which is don't allow people on your team to hijack the discussion. Keep it focused on that agenda. Discussion items are important, but make sure that it doesn't go off on a tangent. So keep it focused on the important topics on your agenda. So thanks for asking that.
Tim, I've got one quick follow-up question.
Sure.
You're an organizational psychologist. Mm-hmm. Tell us about body language. In the absence of being in person and seeing each other face to face, how does body language play a different or perhaps more enhanced role in a Zoom meeting?
Well, in online meetings, let's step back. We have both meetings where we can see some of the paralanguage, we can hear the tone, we can look at the pace, and also we get some of the gestures like I'm doing purposefully now. That's really good in Zoom. We can get most of those, but in a lot of other meetings, in a conference call, if we're having,
for sure,
meetings with people on text, you can miss a lot of those other cues. So
visual cues,
very important. If you're not giving video or not using video, to make sure to give more information so people can get that other parts of language.
Right.
As part of it.
So it highlights the head nodding, the thumbing up, these other things which affirm the speaker and effectively reinforces them. Yeah, I think those take on more importance.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your wisdom and your insights today, Tim. All the best.
Thank you.